With me now, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Democrat from California and a member of the House Judiciary Committee. It looks a lot nicer where you are than where I am sitting. Good to see you, Congresswoman. I wonder what you make of the fact that no Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee were consulted before that letter to the DOJ was sent out.
Well, exactly. I mean, I do think that's problematic, but I do think it's consistent with how they have run the investigation completely. And now it seems as though there's some secret meetings going on, and there's questions as to whether or not they're even able to do that, since they need to be in a SCIF, you know, the room where you're able to read classified documents and hear information. And so I think it is very unfortunate, and I also think it's unprecedented, because usually these type of investigations of this magnitude should be and have been in the past conducted in a bipartisan fashion. Well,
do you believe at this point then, either on the House or the Senate side, that Republicans will focus efforts on the actual question of interference?
I actually don't. I think that they are showing us that they won't. I also think that they're doing this in complete response to Trump's instability, which now, of course, we're learning a lot more about. I'm sure he is really pushing them to do this. Apparently now he has a little group, a cadre of people who are willing to act as inappropriate as Devin Nunes did. So to hear about Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows calling for Sessions to step down, it seems as though they are circling, you know, the wagons around Session and everything they can do to shut down the investigation.
Well, you mentioned Jim Jordan, and back in November when Sessions was testifying before House Judiciary, Jordan brought up the dossier, and I want to play that exchange for you.
Sure.
My main question is, what's it going to take, if all that, not to mention the dossier information, what's it going to take to actually get a special counsel?
That's what only thing I can tell you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I appreciate that.
You can have your idea, but sometime we have to study what the facts are. And I would say looks like there's not enough basis to appoint a special counsel.
Is there a disconnect, or is there just a matter of timing that there wasn't enough evidence to support appointing a special counsel, but now maybe evidence to move forward with criminal charges?
Oh, I don't think that there's enough evidence. I think the question is whether or not Sessions is going to essentially compromise his integrity even more to to stay in his job, and whether Jim Jordan is going to continue to be the attack dog for the White House. We know he's a bit bombastic, and I think he was performing that way in the committee that day.
You know, for a while now, we have been hearing this chorus of Republican voices, a growing chorus, I would argue, that seem to be trying to discredit the Mueller investigation. I just want to remind folks what that sounds like.
You have a Trump-hating, Hillary-loving guy exonerating Hillary before the investigation, and you see what happens with General Flynn and all of Mueller's team of misfit toys, if you will, in this Christmas season, with corruption and a lack of ethics. I really believe this is a danger to this country.
And that's somebody who obviously has a popular show, but there are a lot of, certainly several Republicans who are espousing similar views. Could it work, though? Could there be a discrediting of Robert Mueller, who went into this investigation with stellar credentials, to the point where whatever conclusion he comes to, it's going to be questioned?
Well, I mean, I actually don't think that it can happen. I do think they're doing everything they can to lay the foundation, and I'm beginning to call that other network Trump TV, because they don't even really want to cover the story at all. But you know what? I think that this is so sad, because if you think of how serious these investigations are, where we have had an absolute attack on our democracy, on our electoral process, and you would think that everybody would be rushing to find out what the truth is. But you know, I do think that they are going to do whatever they can if they can get their agenda through. I think that they're very happy that Trump didn't blow up the tax plan, and they were able to get that through so that they can pay off their donors, so that they will have money in the mid-year election. But I think it's really important to look at the talking points to see that you actually have members of Congress that are trying to discredit an investigation that is looking at an attack on our country. And I don't know if there's any historical precedent for what we see going on now.
Congresswoman Karen Bass, always good to have you on the program. Thank you.